Welcome to my kitchen. This Pear Frangipane Tart has roots in the Renaissance. So grab your codpiece and your corset and let's go have some fun. We're going to start with poaching the pears. And you'll need the juice of 1 lemon to put into 4 cups of water, but you're going to also need the lemon zest later for the frangipane. Easier to zest before you cut it and squeeze the juice out. So I'm just going to zest it real quick and set that aside. So add 1 1/4 cups of sugar, 2 Stars of Anise. Aren't they cool looking? 2 cinnamon sticks, or 1 huge stick, and a tablespoon of rum extract, or 2 tablespoons of real rum if you want. Then peel and core your pears, plop them in the brew. Renaissance composers Morton and Hayne mentioned pear pie and crispy flan in one of their songs.
Tourte aux poires et son flan croustillant.
Today we just call it a Pear Frangipane Tart. This smells so good. All right, and now that it started boiling just a little bit, you don't want it to get rapidly boiling, let's set it aside to come to room temperature and we can get started on the tart shell crust. And I made a separate video on that. Now for the frangipane, that's real fun. You just take 1 cup of butter, which is 2 sticks, and cream that till it's nice and fluffy. Cream it for about 5 to 8 minutes and periodically scrape down your bowl. We want everything fully creamed the same. This is kind of standard procedure for creaming butter, I think, because it's going to hide right here. And add 1 cup of sugar and cream those together. Look how nice and fluffy that looks. And then add a pinch of salt, kosher salt, and add 1 whole egg, beat that in, and 2 egg yolks. You can use your fingers or you can just use the shell to separate them. Don't throw those 2 egg whites away. 1 more egg white and you can make meringue cookies. Oh, and you want to make sure everything is at room temperature when you start. That way it's going to combine together and make a great frangipane. And then add 1 1/2 cups of almond flour. It's going to give it this wonderful nutty flavor. And mix that in. And 1 1/2 teaspoons of almond extract. Wow, it's so nutty. And remember that lemon zest we zested at the beginning? This is where it goes in. And finally add 3 tablespoons of flour. All right, and we're gonna set this aside while we work on our pears and get them all sliced and ready, and then we can put it together. So much fun, because I'm gonna pipe. And now that the pears are at room temperature, you're just gonna take them, slice them in half, and they are so soft. But we don't want all the juice, so we're gonna put them on some towels and let them drain a little bit. You want them to be very well drained so our tart isn't mushy. And then to fill the tart shell with our frangipane paste, I'm going to pipe it in. You can dollop it in, but I love piping. Man, this smells so good. This will get it nice and even. And then smooth it out with an offset spatula. And then thinly slice your pears like this, about 1/4 inch. That's what I like. You can make them thinner, you go ahead. And then I use my knife, scoot it under, put it on top. I call that the chef's treat. We're going to get a goodly rise when we bake this tart because I whipped the dickens out of the butter and added a ton of air. Air expands when it's heated. Baking powder and baking soda were invented in the mid-1800s. Most cakes and tarts back then got their rise from hot air and yeast. This recipe version is largely attributed to a patisserie in Paris in the early 1900s, and it's still around today. And then bake at 375 for 10 minutes. Turn down your oven to 325 and bake for 45 to 50 minutes longer, or until the toothpick comes out clean and it's a nice golden brown. I had 2 pears left over from the bunch of pears I bought, so I peeled and cut them up and put them back into the poaching liquid. Imagine the pear mousse. Watch that video next. Dessert for 2. Anyway, I hope you have fun today. Tell me how you like my hat and boop that bell.